And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings for the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with your head coach, David Perkins. I'm Tom Bouchie alongside of John Wolf. And another week, we are done with 2 weeks of the football season, going into week 3. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do the Coaches Show last week, David, due to Hurricane Francine. And we canceled everything for the safety of all the families and the boys. I really didn't want any of the kids out, on the streets and have anything happen. And I think everybody heeded that advice. And I think everybody should heed the advice every time we have one, even though we didn't get what we thought we were going to get. But didn't get to talk about Northwood and the big opening season victory over the Gators at home. So let's kind of recap that in this first segment, David.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while since we won a home opener, and, all during practice we stressed that, and stressed really how coming out 1-0 was kind of going to be big for us, especially knowing what we're going to be up against week 2, and we'll talk about that in here in a little bit. But, it was a good win for us. It was a good way to come out of the gates. You're 1-0 with 9 games left. Man, you talked about, going into week 3. Man, and we talk about this with the kids all the time. The season goes by so fast. I tell them it's going to be week 8 before you know it, and especially for you seniors. It's your last ride. But the Northwood game was a good win for us. It gave us momentum going into that Gina game. And we played well. We had a lot of offense, almost 400 yards, I believe we gained in that game. And Aiden Moran had about 150 yards. Jake Vaughn, our quarterback, he's a dual threat, and he actually did that pretty well. When we go back to work after that game, we saw some things we needed to work on, and actually thought we could do some things against Gina, but
and we'll get it.
But that's okay,
we'll save Gina for the.
Yeah, I got you. But it was a good win for us at Northwood.
So, Coach, talking about the Northwood game and coming from the Tioga Jamboree into Northwood, was there anything particular or any part of the team you really wanted to look at and say, okay, what am I going to have this year when you went into that Northwood game, or was it more or less just a complete shakedown for the team?
No, what? There's some things that we wanted to work on. This year we're putting a lot of emphasis. We've always wanted to run the ball, and we still do, and we're going to run the ball. But, we feel like to have more success, especially when it's deeper in the season and in the playoffs, you got to be able to throw the ball a little bit. A lot of teams like to put 7 in the box against us. Sometimes they'll creep an 8th guy in there. So if you're able to throw the ball a little bit, they're going to have to spread those defenders out a little bit to help us run. So that was kind of one of the things, But coming out of the Jamboree, we turned the ball over a little bit, and it hurt us bad. And so we were able to use that and show our guys, the turnovers are bad, especially for us, and penalties also, they're hard to overcome. We have a small squad, and a lot of guys going both ways, so, we can't be perfect, but we're going to try to just be perfect. And, so not turning the ball over and penalties really were the 2 things we were coming out of that Jamboree wanting to do.
Well, I think there's been, a really nice growth in that, area of no turnovers. Aiden Moran has run the ball, really hard and run it well, and is hanging on to the ball. So, he's certainly gotten the message in practicing and putting it together. And then, talk about the throw in the Northwood game, no matter who you're playing. But the throw that Jake found, I think it was Matthew Hicks, on the long ball over the shoulder, and the grab that Matthew had in that game, that was just priceless.
Yeah, and I believe that was our first touchdown, and that was a great read, first of all, by Matthew and by Jake. Sometimes our receivers have to read the corner to see what they're doing, or the safety to actually know if they're going to go out or go long, and the quarterback and the receiver have to be on the same page. But that was a great route, and if you slow that tape down, the cornerback actually thought he had great position on that ball, and I really think in his mind he's picking that ball off, and Jake threw it, just over his outstretched hand, and Matthew was there for a great touchdown, and that got the momentum going for us. We were sputtering just a little bit there at the beginning, and that got us going. Yeah,
the growth that Jake has had from, last year coming in mid-season, early to mid-season or so, and to where he is now. It's really impressive to watch from the press box. I'm sure it's been that way on film afterwards, right?
Yeah, and it's really nice in practice also. And, we brought him along kind of slow last year. You're right, like third or fourth game, he comes in. He's a dual threat guy. And when you got the guy who has the legs and the guy who can run, when the pass breaks down, you still have a play. And you may have a big play because usually when Jake takes off, it's coming in pretty big chunks. And he's a really tough guy too, and he takes on the hits. Sometimes, we're talking to him and saying, maybe he shouldn't take all these hits, slag, run out of bounds. And, he'll tell you, say, Coach, that's not how I play. So,
that's right.
We let him go play and he's been great for us so far. And you're right about the turnovers, and and it's okay. Aiden's sitting over there. We've talked about that all summer, and he realizes, and he turned the ball over a little bit in the spring game.
Yep.
But since then he hasn't, and he's gotten a lot of opportunities. And we'll talk about the junior game here in a little bit. That was a rough, tough game, physical game. And still no turnovers. That was some of the things we could take good out of these games, and if we can keep those down, we'll be okay. But we still need to work on penalties.
And as we move into the next section, after the commercial break that we'll have here in a minute or two, we will get into that Gina game, and we'll talk about why it was such a tough game because of who they are.
Absolutely.
But let's go back and revisit, the opening season victory. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's always nice to start with a win. I mean, ask LSU, right? Over the last 5 years, how difficult it is to overcome that. But, last year or the last couple of years, we were opening up with St. Fred's, but to bring in Northwood, what goes into the scheduling aspect of that,
Well, scheduling is a pretty long process. I look at my guys, what's leaving, what's coming back, what's in junior high, those guys that are coming up, what kind of guys are those? So you kind of take that into account, kind of take into account who's been on the schedule, how we've done. Sometimes, game one, you want to put somebody in there maybe that's not just like a Gina, because that can take your will away really quick, And the first game, losing the first game isn't the end of the season. Let's be perfectly clear about that. But it's a great time to be 1-0 and to get it going. And so I'm just looking at my guys, and actually Northwood contacted Coach Gatlin and Coach Moore. And was talking about it. I didn't really even have them in mind, and that's kind of how that came about.
Well, and Tommy and Gatlin go way back.
Oh, they do, absolutely.
At Ash, when I was the voice of the Trojans, they were both there. I think Tommy was his offensive coordinator.
Right, so that's kind of how that came about, and he was real gracious about it, and, so we did the 2-year thing, and still got another game with him there next year.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it, the tough schedule that you guys have had the last couple of years. I mean, we went winless several games in a row, but then ended up going undefeated and winning the district title.
Sure.
And then this year we can't even defend that district title because we're in a different district.
Yeah. And another thing you want to look at is PowerPoints. It's a lot about PowerPoints, and you kind of want to guess how many wins they may get during the season, and that type thing. You also, it's this is a business. You want to look at teams that maybe can bring some money to your stadium, and so I mean those are factors. You're asking, how do you schedule people? That's a factor also, and they may be a small factor, but it's a factor. But some of those things, that's
you want to put seats in the seats.
You got to.
Yep.
You got to.
All right. When we come back, we've got several more segments. We're gonna recap the Gina game. We'll talk about offense, and then come back and talk about defense. We've got our Express Professionals. You had one job, and that's going to be our lineman of the week, and we'll discuss the lineman of the week for Northwood, and then, since we didn't get to do that last week, and we'll talk about the lineman of the week for Gina, and then we'll also have the preparation and talk about the upcoming St. Mary's game, which will be heading to Natchitoches, away game 2 weeks in a row, and it looks a little bit different. We'll talk about that. St. Mary's normally in the top 10, in their classification, and really not there. So we'll talk a little bit about that game. We'll be back right after these messages. You're watching the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with head coach David Perkins live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Plenty of seats for everybody to come on out and join us. We still got another 50 minutes or so of the show. Back right after these messages.
Wherever you are, you're there for a reason. you shouldn't have to make a trip to the branch to deposit a check. Skip the trip and use our mobile app to easily and securely deposit checks right from your phone, day or night, wherever you are or whatever you're doing. Download our mobile app today.
To better serve our Senlaw family, Wallace Eye Associates proudly welcomes Louisiana native Dr. Nicholas Bro to the Wallace team.
I definitely feel very lucky and fortunate to be here with Wallace Eye and just to be practicing in Louisiana, born and raised and trained here my whole life. So I do feel very fortunate to be able to give back to this state that has given me so much.
When it's time for cataract surgery, there's only one team, one focus, your vision. Wallace Eye Associates.
In central Louisiana, you might see me at the ballparks or soccer fields, or we might cross paths at the grocery store. I'm your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, your local expert when it comes to protecting what you love and depend on. I'm Jason Hawk. Learn more about how Farm Bureau insurance can save you time and money.
So what happened out there tonight? We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered walk-ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Laura even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to walk-ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-ons for the win.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Harrell, Certified Residential Appraiser. I am currently a leading provider of appraisal services for mortgage lending, employee relocation, estate planning, and community property settlements. My experience in real estate over the past 13 years and currently serving as president of the Greater Central Louisiana Realtors Association has given me a clear understanding of the real estate world and the ever-changing market we live in today. For any of your valuation needs, give me, Kimberly Harrell, a call.
And we're back live at Buffalo Wild Wings, the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with head coach David Perkins. I'm Tom Bouchie along with John Wolf, and we got Eagles fans here and more on the way. And going to talk a little bit. Now that we got the speaker figured out, first of all, big thank you to Mike at M&M Sound.
M&M Sound.
M&M Sound. If you have a program or anything that you need a video or audio or any of that, certainly you can call them, or you can call Insight Audio and Video as well. They do a lot of stuff for homes and security. But we thank both of those folks because
Absolutely.
We're on their Insight Audio, Video, and Security. We're on the hotspot that they have provided us over the last, that's a third year, I think, since we've been live streaming. And Mike with M&M Sound provided the speaker for us and some tech support. And it was actually on his way over here, David, because we couldn't get the speaker going. And then we figured it out, and Mike's in the car, and I call him and said, turn around, man. Go back and eat with your wife. She's cooking for him. And I said, thank you for wanting to come up here. And he goes, what was it?
Don't say.
I was like, it works when you put the tower in the right spot and connect it just right. I thought you could listen to the bass and hear sound, but you have to actually have that tower in there. So
makes it work better.
I got it up here now.
There you go.
All right. So second segment, we're talking a little bit about Gina and covering week 2 of the season. I got it just right off the bat. Coach Rollhart, what they've done to Gina's stadium. Isn't that a really nice stadium and what they've done up there?
Absolutely. Great atmosphere, too. I like that. Their stands were packed. We had a good crowd, too, but we knew going in there it was going to be a great atmosphere, and it's great to play in front of those type fans, and they were very gracious there. No bad talking, whatever you want. We walked right down their side of the stadium a couple times, and they were just, not just watching us. And
yeah.
But Coach Rourke has built a great program there, man. They're really well coached. They got a lot of really good players, and they're going to go a pretty a long way in the playoffs, I believe.
I think they will too. What was it last year? They were state runner-up, right?
Semifinals.
Yeah.
They beat Mangum the week before, who was in the state finals.
Yep.
So John and I are grateful to them too. I mean, they put us up on the top of the press box, and Coach had a table and 2 chairs up there for us. And the fireworks, we got to see a lot of those.
It was a great show.
Is it too early?
I was like, they got to run out of fireworks pretty soon. But one thing, man, they had to spend some money on some fireworks.
I know
for that night.
Tom even said that.
He said
we're going to cost them.
Run out of money or something. We cost them a lot of money that night.
I was like,
but they did have a good gate.
That's right. I was like, man, they must have about $5,000 worth of fireworks here tonight. I want to live right across the street. They can just go out and get the fireworks show.
No, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It was a long game.
Yeah,
keep them up.
It was. But Gina, we talk about how good Gina is. I'm looking at the top 10 for Class 3A, number 7 right now.
Yeah, moved up to 7.
And you're playing up, a step up from 2A to 3A and a number 7 team. And, one thing that you want to do on that one, if you get the win, great, right? I mean, that's fantastic. But you want to come out healthy.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, on the very first play, the kickoff, we lose a very important player to the team.
Just a freak accident on the kickoff. Matthew Hicks, one of our best players. It was kind of a little scrum for the ball down there. It was kind of a short kickoff. Didn't even make it to him, and just got rolled up on. He's a tall kid. Got long legs, long shins, and just got him on that shin right there, and it just fractured it. And he's already had surgery and been back to school. Also, we lost Lane Evans. And it was
that was early in the game too. Was that the first or the second?
I believe that was in the first quarter too. Both in the first quarter, and his is a injury you don't see very often. He got rolled up on. Also, he had surgery this morning and actually this afternoon, and he hadn't been out too long, but it all went great for him, and he headed up in Shreveport. And, they're both, they're doing well, but,
that's your left tackle, right?
Yeah, left tackle. And, Matthew was a lot. He played out in the, receiver. He played corner. He could deep snap. He was our punter. But he could do a lot of, we could put him at the H-back if we had to. We could put him at quarterback. He would be our third-string quarterback.
So, Coach, obviously those guys are out for the year. And looking at Matthew, I know Matthew, of course, his brother played great soccer player. I think Matthew played soccer too. Do you know how long he'll be out? Is it going to extend into soccer season in December, January, or is it something, 6-8 weeks? Or are we talking 4 or 5 months?
Probably, I think Matthews is less than Lane's. It's probably about 3 months he'll be out. They put a pin in there. He doesn't play soccer like Ryan, but he does play basketball. He's basketball and track, and
and bowling.
And bowling, and that's just the one thing, about the injuries, is not just that he's just missing football.
Right.
Me looking at not just as a coach, but just as a friend of his mom and his dad, it's just he's missing, basketball, maybe, but hopefully at least he'll be back for track. And it's just it's the way it is. Everybody says that's the game. It is. It's unfortunate. We lost him on the very first play. That kind of, it was just a punch to the gut for us and the team. I could see it when we came out to run our first play in their eyes, but.
Well, that's where I wanted to go too, and we talked a little bit about what that does to the morale of the team. And as a coach, what do you say? I mean, you just said you saw it in them, when they were going out. What are some of the things that
we
that
just
you
keep
can
coaching
say?
the same way as if he didn't get hurt. I said, okay, let's get him off the field. Next guy up, who's in, let's go. And then as they ran onto the field, I was able to say, let's go, guys. And but you can see it a little bit in their eyes. But that's just a human thing. That's just a human factor. But if we had a team kind of like Gina, where they had like 80 players, almost 80,
85,
80-something players, and we're sitting there with 35. You can overcome a little bit. He's one of our great athletes at the school, and when you lose that caliber player, and even Lane, it's like I said, it's like a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
But you got to overcome it, and when we're doing that this week at practice, and it's a cliche thing, but it's next man up.
Next man up.
It actually is. It really is.
We saw a lot more of Cutter Knowles.
Yep.
Was that who came in?
And Cutter's a starter. He's a starter. He's another guy to go to, and you'll see more of him. Also, you'll see a little bit of Carson Harrison. He's going to be playing out there receiver also. Jordan Rich. And Zach Dozot, number one,
Yeah.
he stepped it up, and that's what's going to have to happen. The receptions or the catches or the opportunities that Matthew would have had are now those opportunities are going to go to those guys. And we expect the same outcomes, and Jake does too. And Jake, being the type quarterback he is, where he's able to buy a little time and things and extend plays, and those guys can get open. And we talk about that in practice all the time.
I guess if there's any, bright spot, and it's very little, other than the fact that all the surgeries went well and the kids are going to be fine and all that, but they're both juniors. So it's it's not their senior season that's messed up by, injury,
Right.
Where they can't play their senior season.
Exactly. And Lane, his is a little more serious. They're both serious, but his is probably about 6
more
to 9,
recovery.
6 to 9 months. He's a baseball player, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah.
But they should be ready to go for next season.
Well, we just make sure everybody out there that's watching and tunes in, keep those young men in your prayers for.
Absolutely.
For
both surgeries went really well.
Yeah, healthy healing and full recovery. John, any questions on this front?
No, talking about Gina and you talk about next man up, obviously we saw a lot of underclassmen that had to come in that game, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, we saw, we were calling a lot of new names, right? So, you talked about a bright spot, next man up. Sometimes when you're thrown in, and you see it at the higher levels in college, you see it at the NFL level, sometimes you're thrown in that position and it's sink or swim, and it can be really good reps for some of your young guys, especially when you go back and watch film to learn from those mistakes that were made, and then naturally going to make mistakes as young players. So, looking at it from that aspect, some young guys got some really good reps against a really good team.
Well, one good thing is for the offensive line, we've got offensive linemen, so we've got a couple guys that's going to come in for Lane. One is Kate Tassan, him and Hunter Vaughn. Hunter's a senior, Kate is a junior. Both of them have experience, and they'll both be playing that position this week. We got really tired against Gina, and of course the way they play had a lot to do with that. But we've noticed that, and we've worked on that, and like you said, we've got a lot of guys going both ways. So you're going to see some new guys in there starting on the defensive line this week to give some other guys a little bit of rest. You'll see Carson Albanian. He's going to start out there at that 5 tech, and then we're going to start freshman Jarrett Scalisi at that nose guard and move Asher Davis out to one of that 5 tech out there, the defensive end, or we call it the Sam. And sometimes he'll be in that 3 tech though, but they're going to actually start the game. So Ben, he's playing offensive guard, and he has to pull a lot. That playing offensive line is, it's tough. It's tough.
Hey, the
it
trenches,
takes a lot out of you.
And everybody says the trenches is where the games are won.
It absolutely is.
And if they're wearing out, it just makes it tough going into that 3rd and 4th.
Absolutely is. So Ben, but now, I have to bring Ben in and explain to him, look, I'm not taking you off defense.
Right.
This is what we're doing. But when, the tough gets going, or, they're getting down there, he's going to play. He's still going to play, but, it's up to the coaches to find opportunities for some of those players to get a little rest. And that's what we're going to try and do this week. And you're going to see some other guys getting a little bit of rest too. So, but we're okay. Not everybody is going both ways. Sam Bricata plays a lot both ways, but he in his important position. He's at that Mike linebacker, and that's really big on our defense. But he also comes over and plays that H back. And they're both really important positions that he plays it so well. We want to play him a lot at the H-back, but we also got to get him some rest. And so that's just one of the things the coaches have to do, and we got to find that opportunity and create depth.
Yeah.
And we have to do it with our young players.
Right. That's the big thing that, that I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to try to transition into that in terms of depth. With 8 seniors, you got to bring some of these younger guys along, and get them experience. And because you may need them, we're only going to week 3, so you got 7 games for sure left.
Yes.
And the way all the splits are now with all the different classifications and the non-select, almost everybody gets into a playoff. So you pick up an 11th game there, so make it 8 games left. You got people who are ready to step in.
And see, and another factor is having such a young team, and we play a few JV games also. And one thing, a lot of our JV players are playing on Friday nights, So like I told the coach the other day, like 80% of our guys who play on Friday night are also playing in the JV games. It's just the way it is, because we don't have a lot of numbers. You know, the freshmen, they can come in and play JV immediately. Where most teams, if you're at a public school, you come in as a freshman and you're playing on the freshman team.
And they play
and then they have a JV
not nearly
game.
as many games.
You know, we
right?
can't play freshman games.
Yeah.
You know, we're just playing one game, JV game. So the freshmen are just integrated into that. And that's great experience for them, though, because a lot of times when they play in those JV games, they're playing against guys that play varsity and play on Friday nights, you know. Every JV team has varsity players playing on their JV team. You know, you got to be competitive, and but that's a good way to get reps, you know, in a football game, and you know, and with everything being live and the coaches are on you, and you know, just it's almost like a dress rehearsal, you know, but it's a great experience.
Well, and those guys, that's a Thursday night game, right? So they're playing on Thursday night JV? Is that what they play?
No, the JV plays on Monday night.
On Monday night. Okay, that's a good break. I was going to say, man, playing Thursday night and then coming back.
Yeah, Monday nights. We try to play as far away from the varsity games as possible.
I was going to say. All right, so we're going to be back. We're going to take another break, and we'll be back right after these messages.
BK Distributors is proud to support high school athletics on 446 Sports. BK is the one-stop shop for trophies, banners, awards, letter jackets, and just about anything award-related. And now, welcome BK Apparel and BK Promotions to the family. For all your spirit apparel needs and anything you need to brand your business. When you think of anything you need with your name on it, think BK. Check them out on Facebook or at bkdistrib.com. BK Distributors, apparel and promotions in Pineville.
Are home problems turning your life upside down? Trust Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing to save the day. From keeping you comfortable to plumbing repairs and even generators, we do it all. Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, your one-stop solution for AC, plumbing, and generators. If you need us to save the day for you, call Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
Our mobile banking app is changing the way we bank. Things are getting easier, transactions are getting safer, and you have access 24/7. All the functionality of banking you're used to, made easier to use, anywhere, anytime, and more secure than ever. Simple, seamless, safe. Download our mobile app today.
For a lifetime of the best possible vision, look to Wallace Eye Associates, where our tradition of eye care excellence in Cenla spans nearly 40 years. From your next family eye exam to cataract and glaucoma evaluations, trust your vision to the experienced eye professionals at Wallace Eye Associates. Call Wallace Eye Associates today at 318-448-4488 to schedule your next eye evaluation.
And we're back live at Buffalo Wild Wings in Alexandria, Louisiana, with head coach David Perkins, John Wolf. I'm Tom Bouchie. This is the Eagles Nest Coaches Show with David Perkins, and we've been talking a lot about the Eagles game. We started out with Northwood, and we were talking about Gina and some of the offense, but we got a little something we want to, and one of these days we'll be plugged into one of these TV screens that maybe when we have some highlights, we'll be able to, everybody in the show will be able to see it. We'll try to figure that out. But here's a highlight. People should be able to hear it, I hope. Uh-oh. Yeah. Hang on. 301. We'll get to it. Try to play it here. Talk a little bit about the defense, David. And the fact that even though in a blowout game, there's some things when you go back and look at the tape, that are good, and it's all learning experience on that side of the ball, especially with youngsters.
Absolutely. Gina, like I said before, is a really well-coached team. They're really hard to simulate at practice, to simulate that offense, which you don't see a whole lot of.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard, man. They go fast. They go quick, and it's tough to stop. And they got some really good players. Quarterback runs the offense really well, and they got 2 good running backs that we knew that were going to be good. And
Wilson?
They hit the holes quick, and they find the little gaps, and it's tough. If you're not reading it right, and, we worked on it all week. And
so you talk about, Gina, I mean, if folks notice, I mean, their linemen are basically foot to foot, and their tailback is about 4 yards deep, right? And there's a quarterback between them. And you talk about a team that's physical, athletic, and speed, and can be very deceptive at the snap. And then, man, they can just spread so fast.
Absolutely. And and they're hitting it in those 2 gaps, 4 gaps, but then they'll hit you on the speed sweep, and not just hit you with the speed sweep, but with some speed. And we're reading, and sometimes we just don't react quick enough. And with the young team like we have, and that type of offense that they run, it gave us a whole lot of problems. But it was good to go look at the film. Tell the guys, look, look at this, and just learn from it, man. Because that's a good team. How many teams like that are you going to face that's good with that type of offense? And not many.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your schedule, I mean, let's just cut to it, right? It's the hardest team on the schedule.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll argue that with anybody. That's the toughest team on that schedule.
And Tom, we were talking about the scheduling earlier, and I scheduled that game with Coach Rourke with I knew they would be good, and I wanted a tough game on the schedule. Knew that would be the toughest game, just to kind of see where we were, and and evaluate that. That's kind of how that game came about, and so we got the rest of the schedule to play. That game's behind us. We've made that perfectly clear, and
that's right.
We'll learn from that and go on to St. Mary's.
Let's take one little thing. See if I can get this to run. There we go.
Intercepted. If he can make it,
he's
going to go all the way and score.
Highlight, this is a pick six. This is Austin Parra. He's a freshman. He was playing that outside linebacker right there, but just read it perfect. What we had coached him up to do during the week. And
32 seconds left in the first
I think it was right before the half.
That was 1:25 left, I think, in the first half. And
if he can make it,
he's going to go at the 15-yard line or so. And he just settled in, and they never saw him.
And I think that made the score 30-6. Maybe,
we went for 2.
We went for 2, and but we kind of use that at half as we're within 3 scores. You're within 24, and that's what you got to do. And and we're going to play the second half like we're going to try to win this game, and that's what we did. And Gina, like we said before, is a really good team, and it didn't work out for us. But we'll go on to the next game, and we'll learn from this one.
So Parra, is that how Parra? Freshman. And this is his first real significant, game time, wasn't it?
He's been in the starting lineup the whole year. He had a little ankle injury there early, so he didn't play. He started in the scrimmage, got ankle injury, so we kept him out of the jamboree.
Okay.
So, but he started against Northwood, and he'll start, and against Gina, and he'll start against St. Mary's. So he's a really good player. He also can run the ball pretty effectively. So but he's just a freshman, learning that position. Sometimes he plays corner. Sometimes he can come play that outside linebacker. He can go out and play strong safety, or he can play free safety. He's that type of a guy. He can run. So you might see him later in the season, maybe getting some touches on offense.
Okay.
Also, but he's going to be a good one.
John, anything?
No, I mean, we talked about Matthew getting hurt, and obviously then we saw Jake come in as a punter. I didn't know he could punt, right? So, I mean, all of a sudden we got our quarterback back there, and I'm thinking, well,
65-yard punt.
Yeah, he booms it. It was 60-plus.
Yeah,
into the end zone, and almost got it at the 1. Yeah. But, he comes in the first time, I'm thinking, all right, well, they're going to kind of do delay rugby. If it's there, maybe run it. If not, just give a little pooch kick, and he's booming them down the field, man.
I mean, did y'all know it was there or what?
No, look, this just came about during the game, Hayden Kidd has been practicing doing that. He kicked off for us. Hayden did. He has a little bit more trouble punting the ball, and he punted the ball the first time we punted, and it was pretty close to being blocked. And I know Coach Rourke, I said they fixing to come after this next punt, but when it was 4th down, Jake was running off the field. And it just hit me, and I said, Jake, you go punt it. Because I know Jake can run it, or, if he has to, he can get away from them because he's athletic. And it just worked out.
Yeah.
So now you have a new punter.
He will be the punter.
I tell you what.
And I can do some things, since he's the quarterback.
Right.
As the punter. So I'm not, say too much, but, you can do some things.
I was watching that play as it happens, and I see all the interior of Gina's guys just going back for punt return. I'm like, oh, man, it's coming left side, right? If there wasn't that one defensive in there, and I saw Jake pause. He looked for a second.
Well, I told him. I said, look, after that, if you think you can outrun that guy,
if it wasn't that one defensive end right there on the end, I'm pretty sure he would have been going.
But I can get him a blocker. I can.
That's right. You got something to work with now.
And we worked on a couple things this week, so we'll see.
So I mean, you're going through all the practices in the summertime, in the spring, and now in the fall, and he's probably not been out there punting at all.
They like to get out there and mess around a little bit, like before practice.
So you're just going to keep it that way? And, I know you like to do special teams, but, I mean, just keep it the way it's going. Because, I mean, he was getting them off, man.
He was. He's the punter. He's going to be punting this week if we punt. And, I run the special teams. And, like I said, you can do some things. But if you got the quarterback there punting, there's a lot of different things you can do.
One of your best athletes back there.
Yeah,
not just quarterback, one of your best athletes.
And he can get away from a rush that's coming.
Right. He did it on one of the punts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got there. It was a high snap, I think, and he had to roll out
and that's
right.
Another thing.
He's got the hands.
He can go get a high snap. He can get it off the ground.
That's one thing Matthew could do. I mean, I think, was it the Northwood game? It had to be because he went out on the kickoff, but he one-handed a high snap.
He did.
And was able to get the
ball.
ball.
Who the deep snapper is, right? It's Aiden Birch, another freshman who's the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
There he is right there. He's deep snapping right now, but y'all might see him this week.
Well, we saw him in the Northwood game. He was able to get out there and get some reps.
And he's been getting some reps with the first team, and we've been putting Jake out in different spots and stuff. So
Jake is going to be your Taysom Hill.
He could be a Taysom Hill.
I mean,
better than Taysom. Taysom doesn't punt.
I don't know. I think he
does.
Yeah,
I'll
bet he could.
Taysom, you think Taysom could punt?
I'll bet Taysom can do anything, man. That's just an athlete.
He probably could.
I mean, think about the way Kubiak is using him.
Yeah.
I mean, how creative has he been?
Yeah.
I tell you, I don't think I've seen 2 NFL games, well, maybe the Patriots, but with Brady and them, but to play almost perfect football on the offense and defensive side of the ball.
Well, they scored on every possession.
Yeah, like the first 11 or 12 possessions.
That's
touchdown.
That's going to be a streak.
47 and 41 in 2 games.
Dak was at a total loss on the sideline when they showed him, during the game. I mean, he didn't even know what to do.
That whole defense was, too. I love it. They were like, we thought Carolina was bad. Maybe we thought Dallas is overrated, too.
Jerry wondering why he paid CD all that money now.
Or maybe the Saints are really, really good.
Saints are really, really good.
But I think they are.
Saints are really, really good.
Their offense is for
Kamara's into it.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
and who do you stop? I know we're not doing the Saints
it's football
coaches show, but it's football talk. We're going to take a quick break. We'll touch base on the linemen and talk about the linemen, the Express Pros. You had one job, lineman of the game for week 1 and week 2. We'll be back with more right after these messages.
What happened out there tonight? We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered walk-ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Lori even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to walk-ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-ons for the win.
Are home problems turning your life upside down? Trust Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing to save the day. From keeping you comfortable to plumbing repairs and even generators, we do it all. Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, your one-stop solution for AC, plumbing, and generators. If you need us to save the day for you, call Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
BK Distributors is proud to support high school athletics on 446 Sports. BK is the one-stop shop for trophies, banners, awards, letter jackets, and just about anything award-related. And now, welcome BK Apparel and BK Promotions to the family for all your spirit apparel needs and anything you need to brand your business. When you think of anything you need with your name on it, think BK. Check them out on Facebook or at bkdistrib.com. BK Distributors, Apparel and Promotions in Pineville.
In Central Louisiana, you might see me at the ballparks or soccer fields, or we might cross paths at the grocery store. I'm your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, your local expert when it comes to protecting what you love and depend on. I'm Jason Hawk. Learn more about how Farm Bureau Insurance can save you time and money. So talk to Hawk at 318-791-HAWK and let me help you protect your biggest investments. Real service, real people. Farm Bureau Insurance.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Harrell, Certified Residential Appraiser. I am currently a leading provider of appraisal services for mortgage lending, employee relocation, estate planning, and community property settlements. My experience in real estate over the past 13 years and currently serving as president of the Greater Central Louisiana Realtors Association has given me a clear understanding of the real estate world and the ever-changing market we live in today. For any of your valuation needs, give me, Kimberly Harrell, a call.
For a lifetime of the best possible vision, look to Wallace Eye Associates, where our tradition of eye care excellence in Cenla spans nearly 40 years. From your next family eye exam to cataract and glaucoma evaluations, trust your vision to the experienced eye professionals at Wallace Eye Associates. Call Wallace Eye Associates today at 318-448-4488 to schedule your next eye evaluation.
All right, and we are back live at Buffalo Wild Wings in Alexandria, Louisiana. This is your Eagles Nest Coaches Show with head coach David Perkins. He's to my left. He's been here the whole time. John Wolf and Jay Sullivan, defensive coach at Menard. And I'm Tom Bouchie, and we're going to talk a little bit about the linemen. And let me show this right here. The Express Employment Pros Lineman of the Week, and you have one job. So we're going to highlight a lineman every week. First in week one, David.
So week one, we picked Hollis Chapman, and he's been playing in week one anyway. He played on both sides of the ball. He starts at right tackle, and then he'll play a little bit of D-end.
Number 70
on the defensive side of the ball. So picked him as the lineman of the week.
And Hollis,
week one.
Hollis is a junior?
Hollis is a junior.
Yeah.
Hollis is a junior. And then for week two, last week against Gina, we're going to go ahead and pick Jack Roy, the center, for lineman of the week for week two.
Number 66?
66.
A senior.
He kind of runs the offensive line, makes all the calls. So he's a great player too, man. He's a good blocker. He can read the defenses, and he can kind of climb up on those linebackers a little bit. And he's about 6'3", probably about 250-ish. So he gets the ball to Jake. I haven't seen a bad snap. I should be, maybe I knock on wood a little bit, but I haven't seen a bad snap in a while. I've seen a couple at practice, but none in the game. So we stay on him about that. But he's a good lineman, and like I said, he makes all the calls. So we like Jack.
He definitely has improved. From last year on that.
And talking about Hollis, so Hollis does play some defensive end for you, Jay, right? And was Hollis playing that last year? Is that something new this year for him?
Hollis didn't play that at all last year, and this year he really wanted to step up, and he said, Coach, I'll play anywhere you want me to. I'll do anything I can for the team. Just a good kid, got a good motor. And we said, look, man, we're going to try to let you play a little defensive end and let you get your hand in the dirt and go forward. And he said, I'm in. So he bought into it, and he's done a good job. And Jack Roy, I get to work with Morgan and them some with the offensive line too. That's another good one. Both those kids have really improved from last year to this year. Just I was able to watch them last year and then being involved this year. Those two kids have really grown up for us.
Talk about your line in general, Jay, and what you're doing with them.
So what we're doing, I mean, we run a basic three-man front for the most part, and really what we're trying to develop is some depth and really trying to get some of the young guys to come along. We've got Ben Good, and we've got Hollis, and then we've got Asher Davis, and those guys really get after it for us. And then we've had Carson Albanian really step up, and he's starting to improve. We've got a freshman that's come along. And he's a big kid, and we expect a lot of him out of the future, and he's getting a lot of reps early. And
we talked about that a little bit. That was Jarrett Scalisi. So, the coach has done a great job of developing that depth that we talked about it a little bit earlier. And we talked about it a little earlier before Coach got on here, that Jarrett would start this Friday along with Carson, and Coach has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and I mean, and think about the senior on the line that you have, Asher, number 34. We've seen him be instrumental and in on a lot of plays. Last year, he worked on his back muscles, I think, because he was always diving in and taking the legs out of the center and sometimes both guards at the same time. But it doesn't look like you have him doing a lot of that this year.
So far we've had him playing more traditional for the most part, and really the biggest thing I can say about Asher is Asher can tell basically everybody on that line on whatever stunt, whatever plays on, whatever we have going. Asher knows where they got to be and what they got to do. So he's a coach on the field. We tell Asher, comes off, communicate with him, hey man, what's going on? What are we doing? Is our alignment right? Are we doing the right things? And he has it. So with these younger guys getting playing time, he's like, Coach, I got them. I'll line them up. I'll tell them where to go.
Asher has a low center of gravity. He's able to he's in the trenches, constantly in the trenches. And we talked about that earlier, about how tough that is. But he's able to find those little gaps, and just get in there and just cause havoc. He's getting double teamed a whole lot. When you're playing that close to the center, the guard and the center are going to double team you a lot. They are trying to climb up to those linebackers, but Asher is really good at keeping those guys off the linebackers. That's
keeping them occupied.
Keeping them occupied. That's one of the things that Coach does really well, is teaching those guys that we want our line. That's why we have a three-man front, and we want our 4 linebackers to go make tackles, and we want our 3 guys to keep those offensive linemen off of them, and we do a great job of that. And Asher does a great job of that. And you'll see Asher be moved around a little bit. He might move out a little bit more this week with these new guys coming in. Asher also will probably play a little bit of offense. Asher's a strong guy. If we put him on offense at that H-back, he's a good blocker. He can blow up a couple people. He can create a 3-4 yard game just on his own if you could just kind of just follow him in there, or if he's got the ball. So,
we saw him make a 2-point conversion in the scrimmage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do that.
And we kind of keeping that plays for him, for maybe something a little bit later in the season. So
that's nice for the senior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jay, talk about Asher moving on the outside.
Say that again, sir.
Asher moving to the outside, and now Banian, I think, is what you said earlier, David, coming in and taking over the nose.
We're going to get Scalisi on the nose.
Oh, the Scalisi.
We're going to put Scalisi on the nose. It's a little bit in our defense. When you're the nose, you're really taking on the center and trying to take on the guard and try to keep those guys, and that's a little bigger body in the middle for us. And Asher's athletic enough and so strong in his lower half that we can take Asher and put him out at the Sam. And he's smart enough to know where to go in any of our stunts or blitzes or things. He just knows what to do and where to be. And you can do that with him. And then at the same time, if we need to put Ben back in or one of those other guys, he can go right back to the nose and play it. And he's an intelligent kid. And those guys are they're getting after it, and it gives us an opportunity to put those young guys on the field.
It's almost like having a field general out there. You got to have him out there because, like you said, he knows what to do and knows what everybody else's job is to do. So if you bring in one of those young guys that are a little unsure in themselves, he can look in their eyes and go, remind this guy what he needs to do.
Great kid. He's just a good kid. Can't say enough good things about him.
So he's still making calls and everything else. out there.
He's a good leader. You know, he gets those guys up, and he's good in the locker room and those type things. So you know, that senior leadership is really needed on our team. You know, we don't want to have 8 seniors. You know, so he kind of heads up that defense.
Coach Jay Sullivan, thanks for joining us at the table. We took you away from your table and your family and the wings. How are the wings?
The wings are pretty good.
What'd you get?
I got just the regular buffalo wings, man, traditional. I'm a traditional guy. Give them to me, bring them out to me a little bit hot, and I'm good to go.
And we play traditional football.
That's it. That's it. That's what we do.
And I heard
quarterback punting.
Head coach made you order for him?
Yeah, he said, hey, I think I'm going to split my 15 or 20 I got over there with him. We'll work that out.
We'll work it out.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us. You go back, enjoy the meal, and we've got our last segment. We take this commercial break. We'll be back. We'll talk a little bit about St. Mary's, and we still got our player of the games to go over. We'll be back right after these messages.
Wherever you are, you're there for a reason. You shouldn't have to make a trip to the branch to deposit a check. Skip the trip and use our mobile app to easily and securely deposit checks right from your phone, day or night, wherever you are or whatever you're doing. Download our mobile app today.
To better serve our Senlaw family, Wallace Eye Associates proudly welcomes Louisiana native Dr. Nicholas Bro to the Wallace team.
I definitely feel very lucky and fortunate to be here with Wallace Eye and just to be practicing in Louisiana, born and raised and trained here my whole life. So I do feel very fortunate to be able to give back to this state that has given me so much.
When it's time for cataract surgery, there's only one team, one focus, your vision. Wallace Eye Associates.
Yeah, so what happened out there tonight? We struck out at home with leftovers, then we remembered walk-ons.
What effect did the situation have?
Spirit soared. Nick took on a burger. Jen obliterated her ribeye po' boy. And speaking of spirits, Laura even scored a real tasty cocktail. She needed that.
Any lessons learned today?
Yeah. Head straight to walk-ons.
Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, craft beers, and cocktails. Walk-ons for the win.
Are home problems turning your life upside down? Trust Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing to save the day. From keeping you comfortable to plumbing repairs and even generators, we do it all. Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, your one-stop solution for AC, plumbing, and generators. If you need us to save the day for you, call Southern Air Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing or visit us online at southernairnow.com.
In Central Louisiana, you might see me at the ballparks or soccer fields, or we might cross paths at the grocery store. I'm your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, your local expert when it comes. In Central Louisiana, you might see me at the ballparks or soccer fields, or we might cross paths at the grocery store. I'm your local Farm Bureau insurance agent, your local expert when it comes to protecting what you love and depend on. I'm Jason Hawk. Learn more about how Farm Bureau Insurance can save you time and money. So talk to Hawk at 318-791-HAWK and let me help you protect your biggest investments.
Well, she's gone.
And we
were talking food there. So.
I'm sorry.
We love talking food.
Well, we'll talk a little bit of food. We're back at the Buffalo Wild Wings. God, got to say thanks to all the staff here at Buffalo Wild
well.
Wings. And John, the regional manager, was here, and he's the one that was integral in getting us in here from baseball.
Okay,
he
good.
was excited about what the baseball shows, both Grace and Menard's and softball shows did, and really pushed to get the Eagle Coaches Show here for football. So we had a good crowd tonight. Hopefully we'll keep building on that for the folks here, because they are staffing and getting the food out, and it's just been a really good experience.
Sure.
For everybody. And the food is good. They have a salad as well.
So it may be a good time, too, talking about service here. So our service the past couple weeks on the show has somewhat been lackadaisical, maybe. Technical difficulties about the YouTube, right?
Yes.
So you may want to bring up YouTube, because I know a lot of folks like to watch YouTube live, and there's an issue with YouTube that we had this last week.
Well, there is, and it's still there, because when I was pulling everything up today to kind of look at everything, when you go on Boxcast, which is the platform that pushes this show out to X and YouTube and Facebook. On YouTube, there's so many people uploading onto YouTube and broadcasting, and I think, what we've been doing over the last 3 years, this is the 4th year, I think, our 5th year that we've actually been live streaming. I think that's really starting to catch on, and you've got it going on in every small town almost with schools. And so YouTube is bombarded, and I think they've been in kind of an argument with Boxcast, and so they're being limited on YouTube's getting limited on what they'll push out. So anybody who watched on YouTube may find it difficult to be able to get it to play, and that may even happen on replays as well. Because all of our stuff is stored at the 446 Sports website, and it's stored on YouTube and it's stored on Facebook. So you can go back and just type in 446 Menard or type in HSM Menard Football, and you should be able to pick up some of the links that we put up there. And we put the links up every day before the game or the day of the game, and you can go on and click on it and watch.
But we're still on Facebook too.
Yes,
Facebook.
And in fact, most of our Menard fans watch us on Facebook. When you go back and look at the number of views that we get, the bulk of them are on Facebook, but we do have some on YouTube. Some of our other teams that we have are much larger on YouTube than they are on Facebook. It's a little bit better quality if you can get it on YouTube than Facebook, but Facebook right now is not having any problems. So go to Facebook and watch it there if you can't get it on YouTube.
Sometimes we watch the videos of the games on 446. Sometimes the quality is a little bit better.
So you can
we have Huddle, and we were able to watch that way, but sometimes someone will hey, go watch it on 446 Sports.
Yeah, and it'll be that way, from here on out. The first game,
but we've done it.
First game and the scrimmage were very difficult.
Yep.
But we finally got it down pat, and it's just trying to get back into the habit of doing it when you're not doing. And John and I are doing everything now in the booth. We don't have the interns. Man, were they something? God.
Yeah, you don't know how it is till you don't have them.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, they were great. So we're coming up on the end of the show, David. Talk about upcoming. Well, first of all, we got to do this. The Security Sporting Goods. Let me get over here. Talk about the player of the game for Northwood. That we had. We named Aiden Moran as a player of the game. Well, I find the graphic.
And how many yards does he have, Coach?
He had 151 against Northwood and 2 touchdowns. So, he had a great game.
Yeah, well, great offensive production. I think you were, 340 or so total offensive yards that game?
Yeah, we had a big night on offense, and a lot of it was him. And, Jake had a good game, throwing it around and running a little bit. But Aiden had a great game.
Yeah.
There it is. Security Sporting Goods.
Security, all right.
Player of the game. So Aiden Moran, y'all talked about him. Now the Gina game. John, we named?
Jake Vaughn.
Jake Vaughn. Good choice.
We talked a lot about Jake, but go ahead and say a little. We talked a lot about his punting.
Well, it just tells you how athletic he is. He's able to just step back there on a spur of the moment thing and do it, and have confidence to do it. But, he played a good game. And, when we moved the ball some against Gene, I know we didn't score offensively, but we moved it some. We worked on some new passes that we had, and Zach Dozot did a very good job catching some of those passes. We're going to use him, Cutter Knowles. And, but Jake had a good game. He's a tough runner. This just gives us another threat. And, it's good that he's the player of the game because Gina was a very good team and the physical team, and he took it, and he was at practice Monday. And besides Matthew and Lane, they both got hurt with those injuries. But as far as the rest of the guys being beat up or nothing like that.
That's good. So we're basically coming in fairly healthy into week 3, and we're going to end it out. We timed it out just perfect because you hardly say anything about the upcoming game anyway. You don't give out any.
Well, you don't
any
really
hints.
know how much they might be watching.
They might be watching.
So.
But St. Mary's, the Tigers, we actually will be at Turpin Stadium in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Great place to play football.
Sure.
And a great place to actually do the game up in the press box. And kind of give us that feel of college. Calling college game.
And our guys get to go play at a college stadium. That's always good. This is the Bishop's Bowl. And
that's right.
we haven't won this game in a while. So we've talked about that this week. It'd be great to get up there in their stadium on the road. We're calling this just kind of go take care of business this week and try to get that Bishop's Bowl trophy back to Menard.
Back to Menard. You know what? It's been kind of the we haven't done this in a while tour, going back to last year. Right.
Going back to last year,
hadn't been undefeated in the district, hadn't won the district championship in a while.
A lot of firsts.
Winning season in a while, and winning the first week of the season in a while. And why not keep the streak going?
Why not? It'd be a great time to do it. It gets us to 2-1 going into the next week. We talked about the scheduling a little bit. And hopefully that kind of opens up in our favor. But we're looking at St. Mary's right now, and only St. Mary's, and we're preparing, and we're still preparing, and we'll prepare a little bit more tomorrow. We've practiced pretty late this week, but we had to. A lot of guys moving around, get them acclimated in their new positions, and new guys coming in. So we're looking for a great game.
All right, Coach. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure every Wednesday night. We're live here at Buffalo Wild Wings, thanks to the staff and management here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Jennifer, the manager, making sure we have everything we need and setting us up. Appreciate Mike with M&M Sound and John Rhodes at Security. Insight Audio Security and Video for our hotspot and everything else. All of our sponsors. Thanks for making this possible. Look for the link probably Friday morning at some point for the football game. We will be live in Natchitoches, Louisiana from Turpin Stadium calling the Menard Eagles and the St. Mary's Tigers. So until then, last word, John.
I'm just looking forward to a good game and at a good, big stadium atmosphere, and I think it's going to be a good night for the Eagles.
All right, and God bless everybody. Have a wonderful night, and
go Eagles.
Go Eagles. Take care, everybody. That's it. That's a wrap.